Have you ever had a conversation with a woman where you don't know where it's going, it's not going anywhere, and you don't know how to make things happen? You want to do your best, you're thinking about the best things to say, but nothing is coming in your mind. You sort of freeze, or maybe try to impress her, and it seems like you're getting needy. It seems like you're getting needy, it seems like you want her, you need her, and it doesn't go anywhere. Because they think that whatever they say is not going to be good enough for her. Maybe that's what you're dealing with as well. You go out in the field, you're talking to some girls, maybe you're texting some girls, and you just don't know what to say. You don't know how to carry the conversation forward. So today we're going to dive deep into how it happens, why it happens, and what you can do so that it never happens with you, how you can make your conversations more interesting, which makes you a more interesting person, and how you can keep the girl engaged. But before I even start, I want to share a story with you, man. Now, when I was doing my first boot camp, it was, I was pretty excited about this. This is like probably the peak moment of my life at that point. And I was teaching game, I was getting paid for it. Right? It was a good experience. So anyway, I go to the club, I go with a couple of guys. And there was this student, I told him, okay, why don't you interact with this girl? Right? He started talking to this girl, and everything is going good, everything is going perfect. So he thought. But he started talking, he started over-investing. He started talking to her for 45 minutes in a club, which, if you've not done night game, you probably might do this mistake. At this point, the guy's been talking to the girl for an hour, about 45 minutes, an hour. And I tell him to close, and he's like, hey, I just need 15 more minutes. I just need 15 more minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm going to show a demonstration. You're going to miss that demonstration, all right? I'm going to go down. Are you sure this set is that valuable for you? And guys, this is what a lot of beginners do, is when they start talking to a girl, they value that girl so much. I mean, for that particular person, it would have been a lot better if he would have seen the demonstration, if he would have learned more game. But at that point of time, he was like, yeah man, I think I'll stay. I don't want to see the demonstration. I'm like, cool, it's no loss. So I go, I do my demonstration, I come back up, and I'd given him a timeline at this point, all right? I had told him very clearly that if I come back, you still have not closed her, I'm going to come in and I'm going to close her, all right? He's like, oh, he probably thought it's not going to happen because he's been talking to her for 50 minutes. And guys, you might also think that when you're talking to a girl, alright? You might think, wow, this is going so good. I'm in a club, I'm talking to this beautiful girl. Some other fucking guy comes, takes the girl, leaves, alright, in fucking 5 minutes. That's what happened over there. So I come in, I start talking to the girl, and honestly, I don't even remember how much time it was. I think probably like 3 to 4 minutes. Start talking to her, I get a number, and the guy's just fucking crushed. He's crushed. And that's good, right? You might think that, hey, shouldn't do that to your clients, right? But that's fucking good, because the cycle of pain and the cycle of growth is inversely relational, and I'm going to talk more about this in another video, but yeah, the pain has to start somewhere, right? And he realized what he was doing was talking to the same girl for 45 minutes, over-investing, trying to say the best things, trying to wait for the perfect moment, and it never comes. It really never comes. So it really does not matter how much you talk to a girl, if she's not emotionally invested, it's not going anywhere, all right? No matter what the frequency is of the conversation, no matter you're texting her every day, you're talking to her every day, it really does not matter, right? So you need to get her to emotionally invest. So that bootcamp ended, the client got the results he wanted, and it was good for him and bad for him at the same time. I hope you know what I mean. What we realized after coming back home, we were talking about this, and it was more like, certain things I was talking about which made the girl more interested in the conversation, and that's what I want to talk about today. So I'm going to tell you 5 things which are going to help you improve the conversation with women. Talk about the things that she can relate to, because I see most of the guys talking about some nonsensical bullshit or something that that the girl cannot relate with at all, and that holds her back. Talk about things that there's some common interest between you and her, because at the end of the day, you want her to invest in the conversation, and she's not going to be able to invest in the conversation if she can't relate with you. So make sure that when you're talking to a girl, you talk about some relatable topics. You're not just completely talking about things you are passionate about. I mean, that's a good way, right? I've already mentioned. But at the end of the day, you need to shift the topic to something that you both can relate to, and it's common grounds, because if you want to carry that conversation forward, and I see this with a lot of guys who probably meet a girl once, they are able to pick up the girl once, but they're unable to maintain that relationship. This is what happens, is because they're not relatable, right? And the girl really cannot relate with them, and that is why the relationship does not work out. So understand, you need to make it relatable. Another thing which really helped me in my personal game was changing the questions I asked the woman, all right? To seek truth, one must ask the right questions. I read it somewhere. But at the end of the day, if you're not asking the right questions, she's not going to invest. You're not giving her the capacity to invest, all right? And what I mean by that is, when most general, conversations, if you see out, you go to a bar, you go to a club, maybe you go to a coffee shop location, you see a first date, it's more about interview mode, all right? So, what do you do? Interesting. What's your schedule like? What's your life goals? What's your passions? What's your plans? And all of that is good, but these are the general questions that every guy is asking a girl. And don't fall in that category where you're asking the same question. And what I mean is, you can still get answers, but at the end of the day, you can change the questions. You can change the questions to make it look like you're not the 99% of the guys out there. You're not like the 99% of the guys out there. So what you can do is you can change certain questions, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. Example, if you want to ask a girl, what do you do? I would never basically ask a girl, what do you do? Because it's sort of a boring question and it's going to fall in that category. Instead, I would make an assumption. I'd make an assumption and I'll make a statement. Hey, you look like a lawyer. You look so professional. I like your sexy nerd classes. Now, this makes it more flirtatious, as well as this makes the girl get hooked to the conversation, because at the end of the day, I'm not being like the 99% of the guys she's talking to, all right? And I'm giving her certain emotions, even when I'm assuming what she does, and she's definitely going to tell me what she does. So the purpose is going to get solved, but you can change the questions. So you get my point, you can change the questions, make it more like statements, because they prove that you're a guy who's commanding, who's authoritative, all right? And that's what a woman wants. So statements are a lot better than questions, and I would always, if I want to ask a question, I would think about how can I make it into a statement. All right, I'll still get the answers that I'm looking for, but at the end of the day, it's more authoritative. It's more like I'm not looking for something from you. I'm not seeking any validation from you. All right, it's more like I'm just gonna say what's on my mind. And if you guys want to learn more about this, I've written a whole book on this. It's called Beyond Small Talk. Turn around with your conversations. All you need to do is click on the pinned comment, go to the website, put in your email, your full name, and this book is all yours for free. Whatever you're talking about, make sure that it's emotionally engaging for the girl and the girl is hooked to it. Don't make it logical, all right? How do you make a conversation emotionally engaging? It is by not making it logical, because the moment you make it logical, her logical mind is going to come to play and she's going to answer things logically. And what I mean by this is, for example, I can talk about this phone over here. I can talk about it logically, or I can make it more emotionally engaging. And I want to show you an example. This is an iPhone, all right? It costed me this much, this 12 megapixel camera, and this is how I can logically talk about this phone. But I can also make it extremely emotional. Now, guys, you see this thick cover on this phone? I mean, I can literally throw this on your face and you'll crack your head, right? Now you might think why I have this. I was in Goa, all right? I had my other phone. It fell down, it shattered to pieces. I lost all the information over there and did not get it fixed, sadly. But that's why I have this thick cover. And apart from that, I go out to night game a lot. And I just thought it would be good if I have this thick cover. If I get into a fight someday, I want to fucking bash it on the person's head. No, I'm just kidding. It just has a thick cover because I don't want to break it. Now you see the difference, right? When I make it more emotionally engaging, when I talk about an emotional experience or something, it's going to be more emotionally engaging. You're going to get hooked to that conversation. But as soon as I make it logical, you're going to get bored and your attention is going to drift away. Always when you're talking to a girl, try to make it more emotional, all right? That's the key to having a good conversation. Another thing you can use is the chain of association concept. It's a pretty simple concept. It's not rocket science. Basic thing is, whatever the girl ends on, expand on that or dive deep into that, all right? So if a girl tells me, hey, I'm a writer, wow, that's interesting. What have you written? What things do you write? What's the book all about, right? I'm just going to expand on that and dive deep into it. Also, this is going to get the girl to invest, because at the end of the day, she's going to share a lot of personal information with me, and that means that she's emotionally getting invested in the conversation. Now guys, I remember I told you about a couple of topics that you can talk to a girl about, and I know a lot of guys watching this, probably you might freeze when you're talking to a really beautiful woman, alright? But these are certain things, certain crutches that you can come back to, and it's the basic thing is you can talk about, a lot of girls are interested in traveling, a lot of girls are interested in talking about themselves, a lot of girls are interested in talking about books, music, and culture. And that's what I realized, traveling all over, talking to multiple girls, that these are some common topics that every girl will relate with. Every girl wants to invest in these topics. So go ahead, go to the field and test it out. And guys, at the end of the day, always know your limitations. If you think that you're freezing, if you think that the conversation is not going anywhere, always leave it at a high note so that you can re-engage with the girl. And that is something I see not a lot of guys practicing, which is basically building the rapport and leaving it at a high note. Alright, I see a lot of guys going in, approaching the girls, talking to the girls, and when it's not going their way, they just get out of there. Alright, they get out there, they don't leave it at a high note. But if you leave it at a high note, it's very easy for you to re-engage with the girl. So always end up leaving it at a high note. Now, if you want to change your dating life and if you really want to get good at this stuff, I would suggest scheduling a call with my team and let's see how we can help you. Let's see what your dating problems are. Let's see what your dating goals are. And let's see if you're a suitable fit to work with each other. This is your coach Arnav, and I hope to see you in the field.